Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I get a lot of questions about who I am, my style, how did I get started, where do I work, yada yada. So I wanted to cover some of those just so everyone kind of has a background about what I do, where I come from, my philosophy, and all that. So to start, I started working in the restaurant industry, I guess technically when I was 15 at a fast food restaurant. Then when I was 18, my brother got me a job at the great and glorious Outback Steakhouse. So that is where it all began for this guy right here. Um, Served there for a couple years, then kind of moved on to different ventures. Eventually, had an opportunity to bartend. It wasn't even like a real bar. It was more of like a almost a concession stand bartending, and I really enjoyed it. I love interacting with people, pouring drinks, making drinks, and the area that I worked had a restaurant as well. And one day the bartender called out and they couldn't get anyone to come in. So they asked me to do it, and that's kind of where it all started. So I've been doing this for about 13 years now, in restaurants, in real restaurants. And really within the last probably 4 or so years, 4 to 5 years, I've been focused on kind of craft bartending. So yeah, I mean that's where I started. Where I'm at now, I've been with the company I'm with currently. I run the bar program there. I've been there for about a year and a half, and it's really great. They let me kind of have free control of the wine program, the cocktail program, the beer, everything else. So I've really been fortunate there. I would say kind of my overall philosophy with bartending. I take a little bit of a different approach than most typical bartenders do. Yeah, I know the word seasonal gets thrown out a lot by a lot of people, but we do try our very best to use ingredients while they're in season, use them for as long as they're good, and pretty much just don't fuck them up. I mean, that's kind of my philosophy. So if we have the ability, we have the knowledge, and we have the desire to work with fresh ingredients, then I think that that's what we should be doing, rather than trying to get the flavor out of a bottle. I I think that for a few different reasons, when it's in season, it's cheaper, which is a big issue at a lot of craft cocktail bars. Is cost is a really important part of what they're doing. So if you use it while it's in season, it costs less. But secondly, it tastes better. I mean, if you've ever had something as simple as a raspberry out of season, they're acidic, slightly tannic, and then very mildly sweet on the finish. Whereas when you get them in season, they're these beautiful, slightly acidic, slightly kind of naturally sweet berries that are delicious. And again, I mean, that's just going down to using it while it's still good. So that's kind of our philosophy behind that. We do make everything at our restaurant in house. There's a couple exceptions. I mean, obviously, we're not making the beer, the wine, or the booze. Um, we do make our own bitters, but those bitters are not a replacement for things like Angostura or Peychaud's, because I think that those guys, I don't think I'm gonna make a product that's better than what they make. Right? They've been doing it for however long they've been doing it, and their product is as close to perfect as you can get. So don't try and screw that up. But that said, there are certain applications like we do an eggnog every year, and we make bitters for that. Because I haven't found bitters that I think work as well as what I make in there. Um, Other than that, we prep all the ingredients in house from scratch. It's a really demanding task. It requires a lot of coordination between all the staff members. It's tough, but I think for us, it's a source of pride. And then for your guests in the restaurant, people aren't stupid, you know? I mean, we in the industry kind of like to give people shit about they don't really know what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, people can taste when you're using good quality, fresh ingredients. And I mean, at the end of the day, our drinks are cheap, but when people taste them, they are getting the perceived value out of those cocktails. So I think that that's something that's really important, that we really strive to make it as good as we can with the freshest ingredients possible and don't screw it up. And the other half of the equation, right, is that like I'm not making drinks for other bartenders to drink ultimately. Like I'm making drinks for people that are coming in the restaurant and paying money. So maybe they don't necessarily want some obscure, Mozambican liqueur that's made from the sap of a poisonous tree. Maybe they just want, a raspberry in their cocktail, and that's fine, but I'm going to give them the best quality raspberries I can in an interesting but still relatable format. And that's always been my philosophy, right? Is taste comes first, and I'm there to sell as many cocktails as possible. So that said, our restaurant does it's a 55-seat restaurant, and we do anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 in alcohol sales a week. Of that, about 70% of that is cocktails. So we sell an enormous amount of cocktails. So I have a lot of people that are like, "Oh, that sounds terrible. Oh, how does anyone like that? That sounds too sweet, yada yada." I welcome your opinion, but the feedback that we get on a regular basis is that people love our cocktails at the end of the day. So the other half of that equation is competitions, events, all that good stuff. I get asked a lot about that. I've competed, really, I guess in about the last year I've been competing. I started with Bombay last year, their most imaginative bartender. I presented a really, really tasty cocktail. I think I didn't quite win regionals. They never sent an official scorecard, but I was in, the top 1% for everything that they rated. I think I probably got second place at regionals to go on to finals. So I didn't make finals, unfortunately. After that, Taste of Atlanta this past year, I made it all the way to the final day. Got second place, unfortunately. It was a great experience, though. I had a lot of fun doing that. What else? The highball competition. I got third there. Really fun competition. Got to make cocktails for a lot of people. And just go out and kind of show off what we do. So, and I work lots of private events, lots of, charity fundraisers. I have a bunch of stuff coming in the next few months for charity, for, training. I'm going to Chicago in April to train a country club up there. So, a lot of people ask, like, how do we know what you're doing is good? Well, people have kind of told me, and it sounds strange, but the feedback that I get and obviously the opportunities that I'm being presented kind of show that, hey, that guy probably knows what he's doing. So if you guys have any questions about any of the cocktails we make, any questions about my philosophy, recipes, if you ever want to see classic cocktails, please leave those in the comments. I love interacting with the subscribers. I love talking cocktail theory. Outside of, I have a 2.5-year-old and I play video games for like 2 hours a day. Other than that, my life is pretty much dedicated to cocktails, beer, and wine. So if you guys have any questions, please leave them down there. If you like the video, give us a big thumbs up, and please do hit that subscribe button. Thank you, guys.